Despite big gains this month on Wall Street, it's been a tough year for small businesses. Many mom and pop shops were stuck, waiting to learn how Obamacare would help or hurt their budgets, and wondering when the sluggish economy in the beginning of the year would finally turn around. So what does 2014 have in store? Joining me now is our biz panel, Kate Rodgers of Fox Business, Simon Constable, columnist at the Wall Street Journal, and Ari Zoldan, the CEO of Quantum Networks. Great to see all three of you. So let me start with you, Ari, because you can come at this from a small business perspective. What were the challenges of 2013?
I'd say first it was banks and lending. I found out in the beginning of the year it was really tough for banks to be able to open up their doors for credit facilities. Towards the end of the year, I'm seeing right now that things have loosened up a bit. But issues with insurance and hiring talent has still been a major obstacle for us.
Because healthcare, Simon, was just so up in the air for small businesses. They did get that delay till 2015, which, I don't know, does that just extend the pain and the uncertainty?
Well, it extends the uncertainty, and this administration just keeps on being uncertain. It says, 1 minute, oh, well, now you can have catastrophic insurance, and then today we learned that there's an extra day to enroll. I mean, there's absolutely no certainty. You have no idea whether next week everything's going to be scrapped or whether everything's going to be reinforced or whatever, and the banks are adding to that too.
And yet, Kate, the market has been doing well.
It has.
And it looks like hiring is up, new construction starts were up. So what does that all mean as we move forward?
Well, as we move forward again, like we've touched on here, healthcare is huge for these small businesses, so they will be concerned going into 2014. But at the end of this year, 56% of small businesses said in a recent poll that they would be hiring in 2014. So I think that that's one bright spot amidst all this uncertainty we've seen.
All right, let's move on to the next topic, because I bring my credit card that I'm going to hold up like this without showing the numbers, specifically because of the swipe here. Now, this is apparently how our credit cards in the United States still work. But is it outdated technology that led us to the problem at Target last week, where 40 million Americans potentially had their credit card numbers stolen in the old-fashioned swipe machines at the stores? So, Simon, let me start with you on this, because I know in Europe, and frankly, all the rest of the world, right, has a digital kind of a system. What's the difference?
It has a chip, and basically it sends an authorization code, a different one for every transaction. So it's encrypted, it sort of rotates it, so you can't just take that and use it again once that encryption, that code is
well, why don't we have it here?
Well, I think it's because the banks have no incentive to deal with this. There's relatively few banks. We've got less and less banks, and they can just pass on the losses to the consumers.
So if there's fraud, they just charge more to you and me if we go to the store.
But basically all of us combined, and that's a big problem. They also know if they lose everything, if they're completely wiped out, the government will bail them out.
But they say that
safety net. You have that safety net too. So Americans could be relatively comfortable. The big banks, the institution, could be comfortable knowing that, well, we have the FDIC.
Yeah, but maybe not anymore, because 40 million Americans apparently had their credit card information taken.
It's also 1 in every 16 had their identity compromised. 1 in every 16.
So, Kate, what's the answer while we wait for these supposed changes to credit cards, which are going to be very expensive for the companies, but might keep our security and our information more safe? Should people just use cash?
Well, that's what one analyst told me here. Cash might be your best bet, but in the U.S. we are so heavily reliant on credit, so that might not be an option for some people. But as Simon brought up, using your debit card isn't as safe, because you could have all of your cash wiped out. When you use a credit card, you do have some insurance there, because you can call up your company and say, hey, I didn't purchase those shoes or that jacket or that car or that ring, and they may give you some of that cash back.
What about online shopping? Because so many people now, myself included, do a lot of shopping online. Is that considered, Ari, to be safer or being in person?
So I think online shopping is actually safer than handing your business card or your credit card over to somebody at a cashier. A lot of the online companies and the online banks right now are beefing up their security, and people aren't going to stop shopping online. It's only going to increase. It's up to the institution, the e-commerce sites, to be able to start beefing up their security and making people feel more and more comfortable that they could do these transactions online.
And you should check
Simon, the caveat.
You should check your statement every month. You shouldn't just look at the bottom thing.
I know. There's a little fight at our house about that all the time. I like to check. Some people don't. I'll leave that up to your imagination. Health panel. Business panel. Good health in the new year. Good to see you.
Business health.